Good morning, Mr. Capuccio. How are you?
Good morning, Ms. Nichols. How are you?
Yes, I am fine, thank you.
Ah,
So this week we're going to be talking about core values. It's all well and good having them. Most business have three or four key values that they establish who they are and what they do by. But if these core values don't result in a profit or an end product and we adhere to them, where does that leave us?
that's a very good question, Jane. And first, let me say that not all businesses need core values. Not all businesses require an inspiring mission, an inspiring vision. But businesses such as ours, where we sell trust and tangibles and results that do not exist at the time of purchase, they absolutely do. And I think last week, if I'm correct, we took a look at Apple versus other computer companies or other technology companies that may well build products that are equal in quality to Apple. But the reason why Apple, up until this date, I mean, they just recently had their biggest share price drop in many, many years. So today's not a very good day this week for Apple. But up until this point, Apple has dominated the technology market in terms of brand recognition because the products say more about the type of person who uses them than the company. And that's number one. Core values create an affinity where people either resonate with who you are and they feel like your product, your services is not only something they want to use, but the embodiment of who and what they ultimately want to become. And that creates loyalty, or it fails to do so, and that's fine. Because if you take a look at Seth Godin's book, Tribes We Need You to Lead, a tribe is powerful, not just because of who belongs to the tribe, but maybe even more importantly, who doesn't belong to the tribe. And you'll see that. You'll see that with people who support one football club versus another. It's their tribe. It's almost like not only are we right, but you're wrong. And you'll see that in the fitness industry. Someone who believes in paleo diet versus the metabolic typing people. And people get quite emotional about that. As a matter of fact, maybe we could talk about that next week.
Absolutely.
The creation of that seems to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're diverging more than we're converging in an industry we're quote unquote supposed to be helping people. So getting back to the core values, with intangibles, it matters how you set up the core values. Core values is not just what you stand for, it's what are the metrics that guide your behaviors, the things that you do and the things you don't do. Priorities as well as posteriorities. It's one thing to have a list of 25 things that you need to get done today, but the truly effective person can look at that list and choose not to do 23 out of the 25 and determine which two would have the greatest enduring effect on my business, the people I serve, my brand, and which 23 can and should absolutely wait and not, as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said, put things that matter most should never be at the mercy of things that matter the least. And without a set of core values, you don't really know which two out of the 25 can I do and which can I put on hold for now or maybe indefinitely because it just does not serve me, my brand, my customer, and what we're trying to achieve. So an example of core value, what it's not, is honesty, integrity. Well, if you are an honest person who has integrity, why would you need to put that there, and how do you measure that? Like at the end of the day, like if me and you were in business, Jane, and you said, well, here's an initiative I want to launch, say, well, is that honest, Jane? Are we lying? I mean, that's absurd. So a core value would be more like innovation. So is this the same old thing rehashed, or is this something truly unique? And if so, how do we quantify and communicate that point of differentiation? And if it's not, we don't do it. So that's an example of a core value.
Right.
Another thing that core values do for us, besides tell people who we are and who they are, whether or not there's an emotional match, because emotions create brand loyalty, not logic. And there are a million examples of that. You go to any woman, and I'm not being misogynistic here, God, I hope.
Surely not.
Right? Take a look at Carrie Bradshaw in Sex in the City, where she had spent $40,000 or something outrageous. Please don't ask me how I know
On
about
shoes.
this. I was forced into it. So she could put a down payment on a house, and she would have had all that money and a little bit more beside had she not worn so many shoes. Now, if you had asked that character, do you really need $40,000 worth of shoes?
Yes.
Stupid, of course I do. But she didn't, because so many of those shoes she discovered she never even wore. Now, is that based on logic? No. Is that an extreme example? Yes. Is that absolute reality to how people make decisions? Yes. We buy on emotion, we justify with fact after a decision is made.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So core values create that resonance. They help guide our decisions and give us direction. They're kind of like a compass for our organization, for our own career. And you know what's also really important about core values is they resonate with the very best of who you are, and they remind you of why you got into your business in the first place. What is your point of passion? What is the meaning for your existence? And how do you go about fulfilling that? I think that's really important because we're up against two emerging forces. Every business is up against two emerging forces, and that is the rapid increase in technology and or information and the emergence of competition. Now, people have more choices than they ever have before. They have more information through social media, through venues like YouTube, than they ever had before. And yes, you can say, well, a lot of stuff on YouTube's crap, but a lot of it is not crap. A lot of it's fairly good.
Yeah.
People have greater increase in choices. They simultaneously have an increase in their demands, the demands that they place on us. And a big misconception, Jane, is, you know what? You get out what you put in. We say that so much and we believe it. You get out of life or work what you put in. No, you don't. If you take a look, all the people who have lost their job in the global economic crisis that kicked off back in 2008, are you telling me that everyone who lost their job absolutely sucked at what they did, that they were slackers, that they were just going through the motions? Yes, there are a lot of people that fall into that category that lost their job, but a lot of really good, skilled, conscientious workers lost their job, and they lost their job for that reason, because they were good. When you put in a hard day's work and you do a good job, you do not get good rewards, because good is the minimum price of entry into any industry. You get far below average rewards in your reputation, in what you can charge in your sessions, so your income suffers, in the exposure you get, the opportunities that are afforded to you.
Yeah.
And most painful, the biggest price you pay is the emotional price you pay. It's like the story of the two stonecutters working so hard and diligently, 12 hours a day in the hot sun, and they were both exhausted, and it was tedious, and they were sculpting these big rocks into perfectly shaped bricks to build a cathedral, and a priest is walking through the courtyard. He asks one stonecutter, "What are you doing?" And the man mumbles under his breath, "I'm cutting stone." Well, that's obvious. And he went back to his work. He couldn't even be bothered to answer the question or even look up the priest. The other one, same question is presented. "My son, what are you doing?" He drops his tools, stands up. His eyes are illuminated with passion, and he points to what is nothing but a stocked pile of bricks at the moment and says, "Can't you see, man? I'm building a magnificent cathedral in the service of my country and my God." So, wow, look at this. Same tedious work. They're working for the same pay, putting in the same number of hours. One guy goes home at the end of the day and lays down and thinks to himself, "I'm nothing but a mere stonecutter, a laborer." Then this guy goes home and tells his family, "I am a magnificent cathedral builder, building things that will last and inspire throughout the ages." Who do you think wakes up with more inspiration? Who pays the higher price, not only physically, but emotionally?
Yeah.
So without really clear on what you stand for, you'll do a good job, because excellence requires ongoing passion and creativity and effort and love. And if you don't get really clear on what you're doing, you'll never do more than a good job. And people who do an excellent job get that kind of good rewards, but the people who are disproportionately rewarded in our industry, I'm not just talking about financially, I'm talking about interpersonally, I'm talking about really getting to live your dream and love what you do and have opportunities to do it in new and more creative ways. People get to share the stage. So they are the stage on the stage and the guide by the side. They get to write, they get to explore and teach and impact others in ways that they once only dreamed of. Are the people who do not do an excellent job, they go beyond excellence. They are outstanding and unique. They have their own personal signature on their brand, and that's when the rewards are disproportionately greater. So if you're outstanding, you get back outstanding rewards. No, you get to live a lifestyle where you travel the world, where you're an author, where you meet people all over the world that you have shared with, inspired, taught, learned from. And that's a life that I would say 0.00001% of the population lives. And the people who live at that level of outstanding are not smarter, more talented. They're just more clear and more plugged into their why. And their why becomes infectious.
Brilliant.
Matter of fact, I have from a good friend of mine, Sally. She gave me a little figurine once. And it's this little red guy doing a press. And on it, it says, live, love, lift. And I looked at those values and I said, you know what? I'm going to adapt those core values as the driving force of my life. And for me, that makes my behaviors very, very clear. To me, that's living, Jane, is in a constant state of growth or entropy. So I choose to be in a constant state of growth.
Yeah.
So what type of growth? Well, there's intellectual growth. There's when you read and you study and you learn and you inspire yourself by the information you take in and how that expands your efficacy.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's emotional growth. So I know I don't miss comedy shows. I watch stand-up. You know, I don't miss an inspiring film. And I don't stay home when I could go to cinema and watch something that sparks my imagination, touches me emotionally deep in my soul. I don't miss a dinner party to go out and have drinks with friends
mm-hmm.
and really laugh and enjoy the richness of life. So it goes from being very disciplined to extremely hedonistic because I want to do everything that allows me to grow, and with that growth, expand my capacity for self-expression. And love means I value the people I get to share that with, and if I didn't get to share that with anyone, it wouldn't be worth anything. And who are the people I love? Who loves me? Who do I surround myself with? And what's the richness of living in that moment? And of course, lift. For me, staying in the game and training and the euphoria I get from that is extremely important. I won't expect, because I'm preaching to the choir. Everyone who wants this has that value.
We all hear you there.
I can measure those core values. If I do something, or whether it's something I'm doing at work, or should I do a video with you? Should we have coffee together? Absolutely, because that maps with my core values.
Yeah.
You know, should we go out on Friday night? I don't know. What am I doing, and does that serve me? And you don't know what serves you or what detracts from the life that you want to live if you're not very clear as to what that life is and what are the values that guide that life.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
So next week, what we're going to discuss really is when our core values almost interfere and become more of a dogma, really. That's something that we can't see past, and we become slightly tunneled visioned with our core values, forgetting that there's other values, like the values of our clients and the values of our peers and the values of basic good grace that need to also take precedence. So thank you for that, and I shall very much look forward to speaking to you next week.
As will I.